The central cores
Mm-hmm.
have tended to be more liberal, more democratic, obviously, then more liberal in their philosophy. And the suburbs and the rural areas, where I come from, rural Minnesota, a farmer, have tended to be more conservative in their principles and values. Not unique to Minneapolis and St. Paul. Certainly you've seen
That's
this
true.
around the country.
Yeah, so, yeah, that's for sure. But do you think it's a problem?
Oh, big problem. Big problem. I have tried as speaker to, and of course this doesn't make everybody happy, but I've tried to be balanced in decisions that we make. Recognizing that there are interests in Minneapolis, in Winona, in Warroad, and Worthington that all have to be balanced together for us to get a product at the end. I think I would love to have Republican legislators from Minneapolis and St. Paul. There ought to be. And just from a political standpoint, you know, if you go back to your original comment about majority-minority, it would seem Minneapolis and St. Paul would want a member of the majority. They'd want members of both caucuses, I would think.
I'd sure like to see that happen. And figuring out how to make that happen is one of the things that...
That's a tough thing to do. That's a tough, because you know, as the citizens of Minneapolis, you know, and honestly, they tend to be more liberal, very honestly. Take the marriage amendment that you're going to talk about later.
Mm-hmm.
You take the marriage amendment to rural Minnesota, it passes 75-25. You take it to Minneapolis, it's probably more 50-50. You know, that's just, or I'm not even sure what those percentages are, but certainly they're in that direction of those percentages. Yeah. That's just because of the makeup of the citizens that live in those areas.
Could our new central library have anything to say about this? We'll head around to Nicollet, northeast of the library, to a spot that I call the right point of view. You don't often find a library with an actual right point of view. Most libraries have prided themselves on trying to have no such thing. But as you'll see from this spot, this library appears to be a very remarkable and unusual exception. Since this is about libraries, and libraries are full of children's stories, we'll start with a little children's story. Once, there was a nice, innocent, good Republican who lived at the right point of view in the Garden of Certainty, guarded by a fox. In the center of the garden was the Library of Certainty. When the nice, innocent, good Republican looked at the Library of Certainty, she could see that it was a safe building. It was a good building. It was a united building, built for a united people. It had a serene, playful wing on the top, and it was in a beautiful green setting. "Isn't this a beautiful Library of Certainty?" said the fox each day to the nice, innocent, good Republican. "It certainly is," was the reply. "But remember," said the fox, "you must always look at the Library of Certainty from the right point of view. If you ever look at the Library of Certainty from another point of view, you might become uncertain. And you certainly don't want to do that, do you?" said the fox to the nice, innocent, good Republican. "No," came the reply. But each day, the nice, innocent, good Republican heard strange voices from the valley of the shadow of a doubt. It sounded like they were saying something like, "Our society is being divided." It sounded like they were saying, "Our society is being split in two by a giant wedge." She thought she heard someone saying, "We need everyone to help us. Come and see." "But just look at the Library of Certainty," said the fox. "All of this obviously isn't true. Just don't change the channel and don't move. This is the right point of view. If you ever move, you might become uncertain," said the fox. Still, the voices kept calling out. They sounded louder, and some of them sounded desperate. "But Mr. Fox, these people are saying our society is being divided and they need help," said the nice, innocent, good Republican. "Shouldn't we go and try to help them? Shouldn't we at least go and see what they're talking about?" "No," said the fox. "If you ever leave the right point of view, you will become uncertain. And if you are uncertain, You can't be a nice, innocent, good Republican, the fox growled. But one day, the voices grew even louder, and they sounded more desperate. So the nice, innocent, good Republican decided to leave the right point of view, just a little, to try to hear the voices just a little better. Look, said the voices, our society is being split. And she looked at the Library of Certainty from a little different point of view. Suddenly, the Library of Certainty looked a little different. It actually looked like there might be a little split in it, but just a little one. Mr. Fox, she yelled, it looks like there might be a little split in the unity of the Library of Certainty, and I'm not sure what to think about this, said the nice, innocent, good Republican. I can't hear you, said the fox. I can't hear anyone outside of the right point of view, said the fox. But why are you replying to me? Asked the nice, innocent, good Republican. It's lying, said one of the other voices. That's what Fox does, said another voice. Oh, I'm so uncertain now, said the nice, innocent, good Republican. I don't know what to do. You are in the valley of the shadow of a doubt now, said the fox. I can't help you now, said the fox. Why don't you go back to the right point of view again and take another look around, said one of the other voices. So, she went back to the right point of view and looked at the Library of Certainty, and there it was, exactly as before. Why, it looks exactly the way it did before, said the nice, innocent, good Republican. Of course it does, you, said one of the other voices, but it trailed off. Now why don't you come over here and have a look at what a mess this is and see if there's anything you can do to help, said another voice. So she did, and she was less certain about things. But she didn't live happily ever after, not in this world anyway.
Goodbye,
said the goddess of Microsoft.
As we saw, sure enough, this building does look a little different if you move a few steps. Let's look at some more of the design elements and see just how literal the story you just heard might be after our heroine took a walk around this place. From here, the bus stop on 4th Street, that little split that we saw looks like it might be quite a bit bigger than we thought. Here's a view from the Hennepin Avenue side. You can see that the split goes all the way through the building on a line with the thing at the top. As we look directly across from Nicollet, this building has a pretty big split indeed. From here, the library looks so different from what we saw at the right point of view that we should probably linger a little just to get used to the idea that this really is the same building we're looking at. In fact, let's take a quick peek back at the right point of view and then come back here. This view looks like a pretty effective way of representing, in architecture, a society that has been split in two. As we pan up, we'll pause and then look at another quiz question. Here it is. Please rank the descriptions from best to worst. My choice for best description is B, wedge. Given what has been going on in our society recently, this looks to me to be a giant symbolic wedge, frozen in time and space, being driven into this building and into the society it serves and represents, splitting the building and the society in two. Description C seems to be a real possibility too. We know about the Washburn Mill explosion. It's the profession of people who work at the library to know about that too, and they do. In our post 9/11 world, we know more recently that buildings can come crashing down. I wonder if this giant thing that seems to be splitting the library into two pieces might be trying to tell our posterity that this building was designed and built by people who knew that parts of buildings could crash onto other buildings. The roof of that mill was described as rising to 500 feet in the air. If a giant piece of a building roof went hurtling through space and landed in downtown Minneapolis, it wouldn't be the first time.